Good day everyone! Welcome back to STM 005. Last meeting we have discussed about matter and non-matter and the difference between the two. We also had examples of matter and non-matter in order for us to better understand the definition of the two. Now, in module number 2, we're going to identify the states of matter and the different phase changes. Before we proceed with our lesson, let us have our objective. So at the end of this module, the learners should be able to describe the phase changes that matter undergo. And then we have the lesson overview. So these are the different topics that we are going to discuss in this module. First, definition of phases of matter. Second, different phases of matter. Third, the common phases of matter. And then lastly, the characteristics or properties of matter. Definition of terms, defining the phases and state changes. During our first module, we have defined chemistry as the following. Now, the phases of matter still falls under the properties of matter. So defining phases, what do we mean by phase of matter? So when we say phase or the state of matter, this is the state at which matter exists in relation to the surroundings temperature or the energy present in the substance or object and or pressure. So actually, the phase of matter is determined by the external forces which the matter is present. So nakadepende yan sa surrounding ng object. So ano ba yung mga common phases of matter? We have the solid, liquid, and gas. So yun na yung staple na discussion natin when it comes to state of matter when you were in elementary or junior high school. Now we're going to add two more. There are actually a lot of states of matter, but we're going to discuss the most common ones. Let us have water as an example. Bakit kaya very unique ang water? This is because water can exist in three different phases naturally, ibig sabihin without the intervention of anyone in the entire universe or known universe. So, bakit kaya? That is because water can exist as solid in the form of ice. Now, kapag mataas ang temperature or mababa ang pressure, that ice can melt, forming now your liquid water. Ito yung kadalasan nating nakikita, of course. And then we have the gas phase of water, which is the steam. Or water vapor. So saan natin nakikita itong solid water, which is the ice? Kadalasan siyang nakikita sa mga lugar na kung saan napakababa ng temperature, kagaya ng North Pole or South Pole, and even on the mountain tops. Liquid water, nag-exist ang liquid water sa kung saan mataas ang temperature, so nakikita natin siya sa dagat, sa mga lakes, sa ponds, and other bodies of water. In the gas phase naman, in nature, nakikita natin siya as water vapor. And the most common na example ng water as a gas ay sa clouds. Now, what about plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate? We're going to delve further into these two as we go along our discussion. So now we go to the different states of matter and their general characteristics. So, there are 5 images or 5 animated pictures in this slide. We have the representation for the atoms of substances in solid form, in liquid, gas, plasma, and Bose-Einstein condensate. So, isa-isahin natin sila. First off, let us have the solids. So, when we say solids, yung mga particles ng mga solid substances ay sobrang magkakadikit. They are tightly packed and close together. Bakit kaya? Kaya nagiging solid ang isang substance, yun ay dahil pinagdidikit natin yung mga particles nila. Kaya nabubuo sila, na very tangible sila kapag hawakan natin. Okay, as you can see also in the animated picture, gumagalaw yung mga particles ng solid. Yun nga lang kasi, they are very tightly packed, tapos magkakadikit sila, kaya yung movement nila ay limited. they still move, of course. Yun nga lang kasi, because of the closeness of the particles of the substance, hindi sila gaano makagalaw. Now, because of this closeness again, and being tightly packed together, nagkakaroon sila ng kanilang definite shape. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hinayaan mo lang yan sa ibabaw ng table, it will still retain its original shape. At dahil din dito, they also have their definite volume. So sa liquid particles naman, mapapansin ninyo sa ating animated picture na they have a lot more freedom of movement as compared to solids. So because of this, they can freely move apart. So medyo magkakahiwalay sila. Yun nga lang kasi, because of the, if you can still remember our discussion last time regarding the bonds that each particle can have, nagkakaroon pa rin sila ng attraction to each other. Kaya hindi sila masyadong nagkakalayo masyado. So that is why these liquid substances are able to flow. Aside from that, the particles move slowly through a container. Dahil sila ay meron silang freedom of movement as compared to solids, they have no definite shape. Ibig sabihin, meron silang freedom para i-take yung shape ng kung saan sila nilagay. To take the shape of their containers. However, because of the attraction between the particles of these liquid particles, meron silang definite volume. So, sa shape, wala sila nito, pero meron silang definite volume because of the attraction between the particles of the atoms. Now, because of these spaces and freedom, kaya nilang mag-flow. When we say flow or fluidity, it is the ability of the substance to flow. Next, we have gases. As you can see in the animated picture, mas mataas ang kanyang freedom of movement as compared to solids and liquid. Because of this freedom of movement, mas malaki ang kanilang spaces to each other. So, very far apart ang mga particles ng gases. Aside from that, the particles of gases move very fast. Bakit kaya? This is because of the amount of energy that they have. Kasi kagaya ng sinabi kanina, when we define the phase of matter, nakadepende yan sa external forces at which the substance is existing. Andiyan yung temperature, andiyan yung pressure. So kapag mas mataas ang temperature ng isang particle, mas mabilis ang kanyang movement. Kaya they move very fast. However, if the temperature is low, then the movement of the particle is also slow. So dahil sa gases, mas mataas ang kanilang amount of energy, they move faster than the particles of solids and liquids. And aside from that, because of the amount of energy that they have no definite shape. Kasi diba, mataas yung energy nila, so they will move. Kaya wala silang definite shape. And of course, they also do not have definite volume. Kung ano yung volume ng container, yun din ang magiging volume nila. Bakit kaya? Kasi if this is our container and there are gas particles in here, what will happen because of their energy, ipupush nila yung mga sarili nila sa walls ng container. Kaya kung ano ang volume ng container, yun din yung magiging volume nila. Wala silang definite volume. Next, we will have the first of the new state of matter for some of us kasi hindi ito gaano familiar para sa lahat. So for plasma, the particles are extremely far apart and that they move very fast. What is the reason behind this? Bakit napakabilis ng particles ng plasma? This is because of the amount of temperature in which they exist. When we say plasma kasi, meron tayong needed amount ng temperature in order for them to be in this excited state. So for water, pwedeng maging plasma ang water if it is exposed to very high temperature at around 3,000 degrees Celsius. Kung ang boiling point ng water ay 100 degrees Celsius, i-times 30 mo pa yon, it will become plasma. So basically, when we say plasma, this is a very hot gas. And because of this amount of energy, sobrang excited sila na kung saan kapag sila ay nag-collide with one another or nakipagbanggaan sila sa isa't isa, mawawasak yung atom. They will break apart into their components, which are the protons, neutrons, and electrons. Kasi ito yung atom natin, for example. Okay? The electrons are the ones that are outside the nucleus. Ito yung nucleus natin. Sa nucleus, nandiyan yung proton, tapos yung neutron. So, ibig sabihin, kapag itong super excited particle na ito ay nag-collide with another super excited particle or with another atom that exists in a very high temperature, kapag nag-collide sila, mawawasak yung kanilang structure. So, lilipad na ngayon in different directions yung kanilang mga components, which are the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons. So, that is what plasma is. It only exists where sa sobrang taas ng temperature. Next, we have the BEC or the Bose-Einstein condensate. So when we say Bose-Einstein condensate, this is the state of matter wherein it is the least common in the universe. We're going to discuss bakit. So unahin muna natin yung kanyang mga characteristics. So the particles are extremely close together at the particles barely move. Bakit kaya? Bakit sobrang lapit nila sa bawat isa at bakit halos hindi sila gumagalaw? This is because Bose-Einstein condensate only exists in extremely cold temperatures. Ibig sabihin, because of the lack of energy or the lack of temperature within the surrounding of the substance, wala silang ibang choice kundi mag-stay lang sa kung nasaan sila, and they barely, if hardly, move. So they only exist at extremely cold temperature. Now, these substances or this state of matter is only possible if you are near 0 Kelvin. So 0 Kelvin. We have different units for temperature. We have Celsius or degree Celsius. We also have Fahrenheit. And then we have Kelvin. So these are the different common na units of temperature. Ngayon naman, si Kelvin ang may pinakamababa. When we say 0 Kelvin kasi, this is the absolute zero. Ibig sabihin, ito yung pinakamababang temperature na possible. So it means that the Bose-Einstein condensate particles will only exist at absolute zero or near, malapit na sa absolute zero. Sa sobrang walang temperature, sa sobrang wala silang mapagkukuhanan ng energy, wala sila sa excited state. They are at the ground state. Ibig sabihin, they barely move. Halos hindi sila gumagalaw. So basically, because of the lack of energy, because of the lack of heat, the Bose-Einstein condensate is a cold solid. So kung yung solid natin ay halos hindi na rin gumagalaw, mas lalo na si Bose-Einstein condensate. So among the 5 states of matter, pinakamababa ang energy ni Bose-Einstein condensate. So we know solids, liquids, and gases. Itong tatlo yung pinaka-typical nating naririnig sa mga phases of matter. To some, ngayon lang nila narinig yung plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. These two exist in extreme temperatures. What do we mean by extreme temperature? They only exist for plasma if the temperature is very high, and for Bose-Einstein condensate, it only exists if the temperature is very low. So both are extreme. For plasma, for very high temperature, Bose-Einstein condensate kapag sobrang baba ng temperature. And alin sa tingin ninyo sa limang ito ang pinaka-common sa universe na state of matter? I'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's your guess? If you answered plasma, you are correct. bakit kaya plasma ang pinaka-abundant na state of matter sa universe? That is because most of the matter in the universe are composed of stars. Stars are being fueled by nuclear fission. And in this nuclear fusion, sobrang taas ng temperature na napoproduce nito. Okay, dahil sa taas ng temperature, yung mga gas particles na present doon sa star, they become plasma. Nagiging plasma yung mga gas particles na nasa star because of the heat produced by nuclear fusion. Kaya plasma ang pinaka-common sa lahat ng state of matter. Alin naman sa tingin ninyo ang least or pinaka hindi common sa lahat ng states of matter? If you answered Bose-Einstein condensate, then that is correct. Bakit? Kasi it is near impossible to find a place in the universe na sobrang lamig that it will reach near absolute zero or 0 Kelvin. So far, napoproduce lang ang BEC or Bose-Einstein condensate na state of matter in a laboratory para makontrol nila yung temperature to absolute zero or near absolute zero. So let us check your module. This is the image that is in your module. Ang example dito ay yung water. So we have water as our example for the most common known substance na pwede nating i-discuss. So water typically is in liquid form. So if the temperature of the liquid or the water is between 0 to 100 degrees Celsius, it will exist as water or in liquid form. If you exceed 100 or makaabot ka man sa 100, it will now produce steam. So when we say steam, dahil sa taas ang temperature na inaabsorb ng mga particles of water, they become so excited na kung saan umaalis na sila sa container nila. Ito na yung usok na lumalabas kapag kayo ay nagpapakulo. Ito yung dahilan kung bakit kapag nagsasayang kayo or kapag nagluluto kayo, tatakpan nyo yung niluluto ninyo, gumagalaw-galaw. This is because the particles of the water in the water vapor state or in the gaseous state, pinupush up niya yung takip, kaya gumagalaw yung takip. Now, if this exceeds 3,000 degrees Celsius or even higher, these water particles or the water vapor will become plasma. They will become ionized gases. Okay? Ngayon naman, balik ulit tayo doon sa water. Let's go back to the water as a liquid state. Kapag ang temperature ay between 0 and 100, nasa liquid siya, di ba? Pero kapag naabot mo na yung 0 degrees Celsius, the water will achieve its freezing point. Kapag nag-freeze siya, magiging ice na siya. So it will become solid. And if you're going to have the temperature lowered to near 0 Kelvin or near absolute zero, the particles of water will behave like little waves. Little waves na lang yung kanyang movement kasi parang halos hindi na siya makagalaw because of the lack of energy or the lack of source of energy. So magiging Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay? So this is your skill building activity number 1. This is still a part of your module. So A is solid. Bakit kaya? Kasi yung coin ang focus natin dito. B is liquid because it is a colored liquid in a beaker. And then C is gas. So shape ng A, the external form or appearance of matter. The coin will hold its own shape. Diba? Bakit kaya? Kasi the particles of the coin is so tightly packed together na kahit na bitawan mo siya or hayaan mo lang siya, it will retain its shape. So, ayan, it has definite shape. For the liquid, kung ano yung container natin, yun yung magiging shape niya. So, no definite shape. And then, for the gases, syempre dahil kagaya siya ng liquid na mataas ang kanilang fluidity or the ability to flow, wala rin siyang definite shape. no definite shape. So please continue on in filling up the table. This table defines and characterizes the different properties of matter na solid, liquid, and gases. So nandito yung characteristics nila. So nandito yung mga properties kagaya ng shape, ng volume, compressibility, and fluidity. So you can pause the video and then read on them in order to further understand them. So thank you for listening, and you can now go back to answering your module. So for queries, do not hesitate to ask. We're always here to guide you. You can drop a message during workdays at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you have learned a lot in today's lesson.